3,000 years ago, somewhere in ancient India, a child is born just after sunset. Before the baby is even washed, the grandfather steps out of the house and he looks up at the sky. He is not just admiring the stars, he is reading them. Where is the moon tonight? Which stars are standing next to it? Which of its 27 houses is the moon staying in? The answer will follow this child for life. It will decide the child's name, the wedding day, when to plant, when to fast, when to take medicine. One look at the night sky, woven into one whole human life. This is the story of the Nakshatras, the star houses of ancient India. 27 homes for the moon drawn across the sky, a wheel of stars, a mandala of time. On this journey, we have watched one civilization after another, asked the sky its own question. Mesopotamia wrote the sky down on clay tablets and drew the first zodiac. Babylon learned to predict it. Egypt built its whole world around it. Then we came to India, and India asked about time itself. In books like the Surya Siddhanta, India turned the sky into pure mathematics, the sign, the zero, ages of the universe, millions of years long. Time measured out to the edge of forever. From there, we traveled east to China. Why? Because no one on earth had watched the sky longer. In China, the sky spoke to one man alone, the emperor. Court astronomers watched every night for 3,000 years without a break. And in China's sky, we saw something that made us turn back. The Chinese had cut the moon's path into 28 resting stops, one stop for each night. They called them the lunar mansions. But India had cut that same road long before. Not into 28 stops, into 27. And here is the difference. China's sky belonged to the emperor. India's sky belonged to everyone. Every farmer, every mother, every newborn child. The first time we visited India, we followed its mathematics all the way to infinity. But we walked right past the older treasure, the star map that ordinary people lived by. This time, we go back for the map. So what exactly is a nakshatra? Start with the moon, watch it tonight, then tomorrow night, then the night after. The moon does not stay in one place. It keeps sliding past the stars behind it, night after night. In about 27 days, the moon finishes one full lap of the sky and comes back to the stars where it started, 27 days, 27 nights. So the ancient Indians cut the moon's road into 27 equal parts, one part for each night of the journey. 27 little houses along the moon's road. Each house is exactly one night's walk for the moon. Tonight it sleeps in one house, tomorrow night the next one. And every house was pinned to real stars. Kritika, the little bright cluster we call the Seven Sisters. Rohini, the glowing red eye of the bull. Another house sat on the red heart of the scorpion, real stars, still shining tonight. Each house also had its own personality, a picture and a guardian god. One house was a horse's head, one was a knife, one was the soft face of a deer, one was a teardrop. The map was a gallery of characters. The stars stood still, like signposts on a road. The moon was the traveler. On any clear night, you could look up, see which stars were holding the moon, and know exactly where you were in the month. No tools, no books, no permission needed. Think of it as a giant clock. The sky is the clock face, the 27 houses are the numbers, and the moon is the moving hand. Drawn on paper, it becomes a circle of stars, a sacred circle, a mandala of time. The wheel was also an address system for the sky. If a comet appeared or a planet wandered by, the watchers could say exactly where it was. It is standing in this house. It is crossing into that one. Every event in the sky got an address. How old is this map? So old that nobody knows who first drew it. The star houses are already there in the Rig Veda, humanity's oldest living scripture. The full list of 27 appears in sacred chants from about 3,000 years ago. But the map may remember an even older time. Today, the list of houses starts with the house called Ashwini. The oldest list starts somewhere else. They start with Kritika, the Seven Sisters. Why start there? An old text gives the clue. It says the Seven Sisters rise exactly in the east, and long ago that was true. 4,000 years ago, they rose at the exact starting point of spring, the starting line of the year. Since then, the sky itself has slowly shifted. But the old list never changed its order. So many scholars believe the list is like a fossil, a memory of a 4,000-year-old spring frozen inside a list of names. Now, a map this precious could not be trusted to paper alone. Paper burns, books get lost, so India kept the map somewhere safer, inside a story. The story says the 27 houses are 27 sisters. Their father is Daksha, a lord of creation, and all 27 sisters are married to one husband, the moon himself. Every night, the moon stays with one wife in her house, then he moves to the next. 27 nights, 27 homes, always in the same order. The whole month is one long wedding procession. But the moon had a favorite wife, Rohini, the red star. He stayed with her too long and ignored the others. The sisters complained to their father, and Daksha cursed the moon to slowly fade away. The gods begged for mercy, and the curse was softened. Now the moon fades for 2 weeks, then he recovers for 2 weeks, forever. And that, says the story, is why the moon grows and shrinks in the sky. Now look at what this story is really doing. The number of houses, the moon's movement, night by night, the fixed order, even the moon glowing and shrinking. A full astronomy lesson, hidden inside a family drama nobody could forget. Other civilizations kept their sky in archives. India kept its sky in stories, told from grandmother to grandchild, for 3000 years. A map carried by heart needs no library, and a map carried by heart can never burn. And the wheel was not just for the moon. The sun walks the same road too, just much more slowly. It spends about 2 weeks in each house and takes a full year to finish the circle. That turned the star houses into a farmer's calendar, a weather guide written across the night sky, free for anyone who could look up. Even today, across the Indian countryside, the monsoon speaks the language of the houses. The first light showers come when the sun stands in Rohini. The real monsoon bursts in with Mriga. Then come the heavy soaking rains of Ardra. In the north, farmers still wait for the rains of Hasta to fill the fields before harvest. Sowing, planting, cutting. Each job has its own star. Weather wisdom remembered as a wheel of names. The poets went even further. They said a raindrop that falls under the star, Swati, and lands inside an open oyster, turns into a pearl. Rain was not just rain. Its value depended on the star it fell under. Now look at the calendar itself. The Hindu months are not named after kings or gods. Each month is named after the star house where its full moon stays. The month of Chaitra comes from the house Chitra. Shravan comes from Shrahavana. Kartik comes from Kritika. So when millions of people simply say the name of the month, they are actually saying where the full moon is, among the stars. The festivals ride the same wheel. Onam, the great harvest festival of Kerala, falls on the day the house Shravana hosts the moon. Raksha Bandhan waits for the full moon of Shravan. And Diwali burns in Kartik, the month of the seven sisters. But the star houses went deeper than fields and festivals. They entered the human body itself. In Indian thought, every person is a small universe. The same moon that pulls the ocean's tides was believed to pull the tides inside us. Look at the very first house of the wheel, Ashwini. Its guardians are twin gods on horseback, the doctors of the gods. Think about that. India opened its map of the sky with the gods of healing. Another house, Pushya, was called the most gentle and caring house of all. The old tradition said this was the time to gather healing herbs and prepare medicines, when the moon's nourishing power was at its strongest. Doctors of Ayurveda checked the wheel before treatment. A strong medicine might wait for days until the moon reached a softer house. Healing works better, they believed, when it moves with the moon, not against it. A birth star could also be a warning. A child born under certain houses was thought to face a hard start in life, so special prayers were done to protect the newborn. Medicine, prayer, and astronomy were all one craft. You do not have to believe the stars control the body. But for 3000 years, this system decided when millions of people took medicine, fasted, and rested. Even today, some families check the calendar before booking a surgery. And then there are the rituals. Because above everything else, the star houses answered the oldest ritual question in India. Not how to do a sacred act, but when to do it. The old ritual books are exact about this. Light your sacred fire, they say, when the moon stands in Kritika. Because Kritika is the house of Agni, the god of fire himself. A fire on earth, lit under the stars of fire. When a child is born, the house where the moon is standing at that moment becomes the child's birth star. A personal star, given by the sky, carried for life. Then comes the naming ceremony. Each quarter of each house has its own sacred sound. The child's name must begin with the sound of the exact quarter where the moon stood at birth. Stop and think about that. For millions of Indians across thousands of years, a name is a map reference. The position of the moon among the stars at the moment of your first breath, hidden inside the word people call you every day. Marriage tied two skies together. Before a wedding, the birth stars of the bride and groom are matched point by point out of 36 points. Millions of families still do this calculation today, and the wedding itself waits for a lucky date picked from the calendar. So, on one lucky starry night in India, tens of thousands of weddings light up at once, whole cities celebrating together in step with the moon. First solid food, first haircut, first day of school, moving into a new home, even the last goodbye. Every step of life had its right houses and its wrong nights. From first breath to last, the wheel kept time. One more secret hides in the wheel. 27 houses, each cut into 4 quarters. 27 times 4. 108 steps around the sky. 108. The number of beads on the prayer mala. Why is 108 sacred? There are many answers. Here is one of the oldest. Finger every bead of a mala and you have walked the whole circle of the sky, one small step at a time. Prayer as a lap of the heavens. And one house fell off the wheel. The oldest texts sometimes count a 28 house, Abhijit. Its star is Vega, one of the brightest stars in the sky. But Abhijit sits too far from the moon's road, so the walking calendar quietly dropped it. The Mahabharata even remembers the loss, in a haunting line about Abhijit slipping from the sky. Sometimes, even a Mandala must let a star go. So what does this second visit to India add to our story? Remember what each civilization did with the sky. Mesopotamia wrote it down, Babylon predicted it, Egypt built its world around it, China watched it without a break for 3000 years. And India, on our last visit, turned it into mathematics without end. With the star houses, India did the one thing left. It took the star map of the palace wall and handed it to everyone. It made the sky a part of everyday life. And here is the amazing part. Of all the ancient star maps we have met on this journey, this is the one that never died. It never had to be dug up or decoded or rediscovered because people never stopped using it. Over the centuries, the Western zodiac slowly drifted away from its own stars. The star houses never let go of theirs. The calendar that names the moon's house tonight still points at the same 7 sisters the ancient sages watched. A newborn will be named by this wheel somewhere in India this morning. A wedding will be fixed by it this week. A farmer is watching for the rains of Hasda right now. 4000 years later, the mandala of time is still turning. The mathematics of the Surya Siddhanta measured how deep time goes. The star houses did something just as great. They gave time a shape you could live inside. A circle of stars with a human life at its center. But while India was weaving the sky into daily life, far across the ocean, deep in the jungles of the Americas, another people were watching the same stars, completely alone. No contact with India or China or Babylon. Nobody to learn from. In our next episode, we meet the Maya. They followed the planet Venus with stunning care. They wrote eclipse warnings in folding books. They raised round stone towers just to watch the sky. And they built a count of days so deep it reaches back millions of years. Calendars that outlived the empires that made them.